We have seen silver and gold kind of flatline this past 3 weeks, which is not a bad thing. So I don't know why people are panicking.
Does it feel like to you the price of gold and the price of silver that it should have been a lot higher yesterday? Well, you're not alone. Today, we are privileged, honored to be joined by our good friend, Coin Shop Chris. He spends his days in the gold and silver market. He has insights that he wants to share with us today. I think some of the biggest news items we're going to look at in the coming week will be the Federal Reserve and their interest rate decision, but we got a lot more to talk about. Coin Shop Chris, welcome back to Ron's Basement.
Well, thank you again for having me back, Ron. And everybody loves your red shirt.
Everybody loves it except for Susie.
Wow. Susie don't know what she's missing out on.
Susie, not Susan. Susie, my wife, my imaginary wife. See, I ring the bell and the imaginary wife brings coffee down for me, right?
Well, the gold beer texted me, and he said that Susie was going to bring down coffee once you hit 50,000 subscribers.
All right. Well, we got to get to 20,000 first, right?
Well, I said 50,000. So if we got to get to 20,000 first. But once you hit 50,000, she's supposed to bring you down the cup of coffee.
All right, 1 cup. I'll be waiting. My fingers will be crossed, you know. I guess if that's the biggest problem I have in my marriage for right now, I'm living high on the cream, as they say. So next week, our good friend, I know you love Jerome Powell, Chris, and next week we get to hear from him. We are all so excited. We're going to hear about the Fed interest rate decision. Any thoughts on that subject, Chris?
Well, I don't like Jerome Powell too much. I don't know where you got that one, but I think we're going to see either a 25% base hike or 50.
Okay.
Both of those are up in the air. Could we see a pause? Small chance, but there's a chance of that too happening. If we look at the stock market yesterday on Thursday, today is Friday the 28th of April, and stock market was up 500 points, over 500. So there's some chatter there. They might even pause.
Wow, that would be explosive for the price of gold and silver, right? Yeah, you know, we know that the Fed's kind of in a box. I mean, I let off this video with the fact that gold and silver should have been higher yesterday because we got GDP numbers yesterday that were disappointing. So the economy is struggling, right? And we got inflation numbers that were still high. I'm gonna bang the table a couple times. That is stagflation. That is like the most ideal environment for the silver price and gold price, but we didn't see any initial reaction. But most people, they aren't as smart as me, and they're especially not as smart as you. It takes them a while to kind of grasp the big picture of what's going on.
Well, that's true. And, you know, we have seen silver and gold kind of flatline this past 3 weeks, which is not a bad thing. So I don't know why people are panicking. You know, we're holding. We're not falling too much. You know, which is, I think, is a good thing. I think this is a buying opportunity. People are waiting to see $20 silver, 15. It's probably not going to happen. And if it did happen, your premiums are still going to be sky high. You're going to be paying the same. I repeat this and repeat this. I sound like a broken record, Ron. You're not going to see really the premiums coming down.
Right.
You know, that's the thing in a nutshell. If people are going to trade their money in now, do it slowly. Get a little bit now. Get a little bit next week. Play the game like everybody else has been doing. Cost average. I cannot stress that enough. I can't tell anybody, it's not financial advice. Just cost average.
Yeah.
This is how
and I agree with you 100%. Don't buy it all at once. If you're going to buy some silver, if you're going to buy some gold, don't pile in all at once. It may work out for you, but it also may not work out for you. And I think that we're real confident when we say that if you dollar cost average in over time, it's much, much more likely over a little bit of a longer time horizon to definitely work out for you.
You know, you and I talk a lot, Ron. I send you a lot of screenshots of what I get on eBay. I'm still able to get 90% silver at 20 times face.
Yeah.
It's out there. Oh, you just have to look. It's almost I don't want to say impossible, because I do find something almost every single day about 20 times face.
Yeah.
It might be 5 dimes. It might be a few half dollars here and there. It all adds up. Don't be afraid to get out there on eBay with the good sellers out there, even the ones that who just starting out. I've had a couple problems. Yes, I will admit it. I had a couple problems this past week where they actually got the envelope and there's no coin in it. Message the seller nicely. Most of the time they will work with you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay no 30 times face, $3 for a dime, $15 for half dollar, $7.50 for a quarter. No way.
Right. Let me ask you a question, Chris. Right. We're seeing, let's say, constricted, limited supply on the retail level for silver and gold investors. Right. It may have lightened up a little bit, but I think it's still safe to say that there's not an abundance of silver available right now for the retail investors. But we're also seeing, and I think to a certain degree, as important or maybe even more important, on the institutional side. I was reading again this morning about the COMEX and the LBMA and the futures contracts, that the amount of silver available in the vaults is dwindling, that the big banks are actually taking delivery on these contracts. Isn't it just going to take, does it feel like to you it's just going to take one more event? Like we kind of had that event, 4 or 5 weeks ago with the banking crisis, which was, of course, solved immediately because of an emergency meeting by the Federal Reserve and the Treasury. But the sickness hasn't been cured in the monetary and the financial system. That the next big event, because you said this earlier, the gold price and the silver price have been very steady for the last 4 weeks. Very resilient is a big word that I'm hearing, right? Like gold or silver get pushed down and they kind of bounce right back. It even happened this morning. I looked right before we came on, the price of gold and silver are up. So this next event that we might have, that it could be the big one that really, I mean, at minimum could push gold to new all-time highs and silver up to and possibly beyond $30.
First Mining Gold is a development company advancing 2 of the largest gold projects in Canada. Springpole in Ontario and Duparquet, located in Quebec, each already has 5 million ounces of gold reserves, but exploration initiatives are underway at both projects to find even more gold. First Mining is well-financed, has 0 debt, and owns an interest in 4 additional Canadian gold development projects.
It could take one more time. I mean, look at, we're going through right now, First Republic Bank. Are they going to break next week? Are they going to be bankrupt next week? That's possible. Every time we have a little something going on or something big going on, it's gonna drive more people to wake up and start stacking silver and gold. Is there always gonna be silver and gold out there in the market? Yes. It's that, do I think there's gonna be a drain of supply where you're never gonna be able to find it again? I don't think you see that anytime really soon. It could happen. But I'm starting to see a little bit more inventory coming in the shop now. We're starting to get a little bit more silver bars coming in. The inventory's starting to come back in, but it's slow. I got, some people say my shop's got plenty. My shop's got plenty. Well, okay, you might think it's plenty, or somebody might say, oh, we got plenty, may not want to do fear of missing out. They're trying to hold what they can and don't want to sell it out all at once.
And they've got plenty, but they've got it at $30 an ounce minimum too. Is
30 plus, yeah.
30 plus. I mean, so what's the real price of silver, right? I mean, to me, the real price of silver maybe already is $30 per ounce.
Well, the real price should be, let's talk about junk silver for a minute. It's 40, it's to get an ounce of junk silver, $1.40 face, it's, if you go on these big boy sites, you add it up, it's about $43.
Yeah.
That's where I come up. Really, an ounce, that's where about American Silver Eagle is between $40 and $50 for American Silver Eagle at this time. So the real price should be right around between 43 and 50.
Yeah.
But again, we know it's paper trading.
Right.
There's two different markets. There's paper trading and there's physical. They need to be separated.
What do you mean,
they
Chris? What are you talking about? I thought I didn't know there was a difference between paper and I thought what they did at the COMEX and the LBMA, that's the real price of silver. That's the real stuff, right?
No, we all know what that's called. It's called unicorn fat dust.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for saying it. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
You didn't interrupt, Ronnie. You're fine. I cannot, we're not financial advisors, anybody.
Yeah.
I just want to say, if you're going to get some out of weekly, set so much out of each paycheck, 5%, 3%, whatever you can afford. Don't buy more than you can afford. There I go saying the buy word again. Trade.
Convert.
Convert. Yes, that's even a better word, Ron. I try to find a weekly deal. I've had a hard time finding a weekly deal this week, Ron. But Pinehurst on eBay again, good company. Not really a private seller. Or Liberty Coins this week. Rounds, all less than $600 a tube. They're, at the time of recording, 11:15 Eastern Standard Time on Friday morning. Yeah, almost at afternoon. We're right about $5.92 a tube on both of those websites.
And you always talk positively about Liberty Coins. I know they're watching, so I'm going to recommend they reach out to me and I can give them your email address so they can send you some free silver for all the good words you say about them. Because I want to reiterate this to the audience, guys. CoinShop Chris is not selling anything. There's no affiliate link. There's no commission he makes off anything. He comes on the show, Ron's Basement, out of the kindness of his heart to share information with us. He's not selling you anything. And I also want to mention something very nice because it feels good to talk about. Doesn't it feel good to talk about when people do nice things, Chris?
That's right.
Can I talk about when you did something nice, Chris?
Why not?
Okay. Yesterday, I got an email from one of my viewers asking a question that I didn't have an answer to regarding a Canadian coin and mintage numbers. And Chris went out of his way, way out of his way, trying to research this. Her name's Deborah. And she then sent us an email later in the day. And really, I get no credit for this. It's all Chris. And she said, you guys really made me feel special. And we said, well, you are special, right? And
that's right.
And I thought that was pretty special what you did, Chris. I know you enjoy helping. That's actually, let me tell a quick story. That's what Chris and I started talking, I don't know, 6 months ago. It feels like years, but nonetheless, and he conveyed to me a story, and I won't go into the details, but it had to do with a situation where, how do I say this? You maybe could have been deceptive with a customer, but you instead delivered them some very good news. And at that point, that kind of cemented my opinion of you, and you've never let me down since. Now, this is a show about the price of silver and gold, not a Ron and Chris love fest. So let's get back to silver and gold. What do you say, Chris?
Yes, let's do that. I want to make one comment that you just said. I want to know this answer myself. I've tried to get this information out to Deborah. We were talking about a 2-ounce twin maple coin round. I think it's a coin. Yes, it's a coin. There's a $10 face on it. Does anybody know the mintage of that year? If anybody knows the mintage, please put that in the comments so we know. I have sent out to 20 other coin shops. Nobody knows. So if anybody knows the 2019 2-ounce twin maples, please put that in the comments.
And it's called
And-
the twin. It's called the twin maple because it has 2 maple leaves, right?
Correct. Yes.
All right, go figure. I have
And-
twin daughters.
Well, maybe you should get one each for one each of your daughters.
Maybe I should. I'm
Um,
fascinated with the coin now.
Well, so am I. I mean, I've seen 1 or 2, but now since someone's mentioned it, and when I get stuck on a question, I may work in the coin shop, but I don't know everything. I mean,
You know
I'll
a
be
lot.
the first one to admit that. I
You're
know
an
a lot, but I don't know everything.
Are you an expert?
No,
No,
nobody's an expert in anything.
that's right.
Because there's always
Always-
something new coming. There's always
That's right.
something new coming around the corner.
That's right. That's
And
what I.
if everybody can give this video a like, a share, and subscribe. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers, Ron. You're almost at
know.
20,000. Let's get it
I-
done so we can do the 20,000 subscriber giveaway.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know what I just thought of when you said that was like the local hockey arena where the St. Louis Blues hockey team plays. That seats 20,000 people. That's pretty awesome that like there's that many people that are interested in hearing what you and I have to talk about. I want to bring up one more interesting point about the silver price and gold price that I think everybody's missing, and I want to get your opinion on this, Chris. Everybody thinks, and not everybody agrees, and that's great, but everybody keeps saying, oh, the market's going to crash, and when it does, the price of gold, the price of silver are going to go down. But I argue, and maybe I'm blindly optimistic, but I argue that things are a little different this time than what we saw in 2008 during the great financial crisis. At that time, number one, there was a lot less debt in the world. The situation now from a monetary and a fiscal perspective is so much more delicate, so much more sensitive. And number two, the other big change that we have now is geopolitically, the world is an entirely different place than it was 15 years ago. We've got major de-dollarization, major a movement away from the US dollar, geopolitical change like we've never seen in our lifetimes, and I'm 53 years old, and that those two things are different, and that those other countries, they love silver and gold. Do you have any thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah, well, you and I had a phone call this past week, and we weren't arguing, but we differ here. Every time the market crashes, silver and gold will come down with it. We go back to we'll go back in 2008 where everything crashed. Silver and gold came down with it, but silver and gold recovered a lot faster. It took 3 years for it to go down with $8, $11, I think $11.39, I think it was. Someone will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But in 2011, we almost hit that $50 mark again, and then it come crashing down again. This time it could be different, Ron. You're absolutely right. This is like an unknown territory that we're in. And after $30, we don't have, after silver hits $30, we don't have a lot of really history above that. A couple times, that's it. So we don't know, I was watching another video in that GPI or whatever that computer system's called.
GPT, chat GPT.
GPT, they predicted silver could feasibly range to get a high of 160. I will keep saying, people think they're going to get rich off of silver and gold. Probably not going to happen. If in dollar terms, you might, but what's the dollar going to be worth? If the dollar is even going to be around, if silver hit $500 an ounce, $1,000 an ounce, like some people are predicting. And then we get to that point, what's the cost of everything else?
Yeah. So in fancy economic terms, what you're talking about is the difference between nominal gains and real gains. So what that means is nominal means just in numbers. Like you said, let's say silver goes to $300 an ounce. And on a nominal level, on a pure numbers level, which is what nominal means, that appears like, oh man, I got rich off silver. I bought it for $20 an ounce, and now it's $300 an ounce. So in nominal terms, just dollar or number terms, yeah, sure, you did really well. But if a price of bread and everything else has also gone up 15 times in price in real terms, you didn't really do that well. However, you did maintain your value, because if you had just kept your wealth in, let's say, cash, right? You lost a significant amount of your wealth because your dollars did not keep up with the hyperinflation. Does that make sense?
That's right. Yes. Now I lost my train of thought now.
That's all right. I know something you love to talk about. I know you love Jerome Powell, right?
Oh,
And
please
we're gonna.
don't, not with the box.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. Okay, so we know we love Jerome Powell. He's got a recession on one side, he's boxed in, and inflation on the other side. The solution, right? I put a new thing on the back. The solution is this silver, right? Put that in there. Anyway, your other favorite subject that I know you just love to talk about is Bitcoin. Any thoughts on Bitcoin? It had kind of a crazy week, and I know you have such a warm fondness for Bitcoin. So what are your thoughts on that, Chris?
Well, just before I complain about Bitcoin, Ron, you might want to take that silver piece out of that box there, because we don't know what Jerome Powell's going to do with it.
Yeah, really.
Well,
I don't know.
Bitcoin, you and I talked about this off camera too, and we talked about it on camera in the past. Bitcoin, it's fairy dust. It's unicorn fart dust. I've asked the question many times: how are we going to use this without no power? If the internet goes down, and it can't happen at any time. We can't even use a credit card when the power goes out. When we get big storms, the news, your local media tells you have cash on hand, While we go to this digital currency, how's that going to work with no power? Same thing as Bitcoin.
Right.
And do we really think the federal government's going to allow Bitcoin to compete with the digital dollar? Something to keep in mind. It's really something to keep in mind.
I think you're exactly right, Chris. I think, and somebody brought this up in the comments, one of my videos, and we tend to forget about this, but we have to be real, right? Bitcoin has siphoned off a little bit of the money that probably would have gone into gold and silver from a store of value perspective. But I don't think long term the powers that be are going to let Bitcoin thrive and become a real viable option. And they're even talking about regulating it more now and everything else. So, when the CBDC comes about, right, it's probably going to be rolled out by not just the United States, but on many different countries as well. And cash is no longer viable. And crypto, who knows what's going to happen with that? But the bottom line is silver and gold, for people that are looking for any level of privacy, silver and gold are going to be the last bastion of monetary privacy that's available. It always has been and always will be.
Absolutely, Ron. You did a video with Pat the other day, or today I watched, and he was talking about, silver, pretty much what we're talking about now. Silver and gold is the only thing going to be left. We can go back, digital currency's really been around for a few years, maybe even if you want to go use PayPal. We talked about this before. PayPal's a form of a digital currency.
Mm-hmm.
You send me $5, Ron, that's digitally. Yeah, I can go to the ATM, take out your $5 or what not in cash. It's gonna be, how do I put this without getting thrown off of YouTube here? I just don't know. I mean, you gotta be careful.
Let me interject something that just came to mind. A very powerful thought that I just had about cryptocurrencies. People say that, crypto is going to replace gold and silver, right? It's gold and silver are barbarous relics, right? think about this. I don't know what year the actual printing press was invented. Maybe like the 1700s or somewhere around there. Let's just say the 1700s, the printing press was developed. At that point, that was the hottest new technology on the face of the earth. It allowed people to get books and to read like never before, right? It was the hottest, newest technology. It changed the world, the printing press. Okay. That also allowed countries to be able to print notes, to print money like they never had been able to do it before. And so that would, I would think, conjure up the thought that at that point, that paper money, I'm sure back then people said, oh, this new paper money, it's going to replace gold and silver as a store of value. But how did that work out? How did that work out, right? We know the history of paper money over the last number of years. That hasn't worked out well at all. Does that make sense, what I just said? And now they're saying that about Bitcoin. Oh, electronic is going to replace as a store of value. Well, that's like saying printed money 400 years ago was going to replace it. And that didn't quite work out so well.
Well, absolutely. Silver and gold have been around for 5,000 plus years. Bitcoin, what, 12 years in?
Yeah.
I rather put my hard-earned, you want to call it dollars or whatever, I rather put it in something that has history for 5,000 years than a 12-year history.
Yeah.
Bitcoin has not proven itself yet. Any of these cryptos have not proven themselves yet. That's all I gotta say. I mean, I could go on more into more details, but I wouldn't put a penny into Bitcoin.
Thank you, Chris. It's been great. You know, I know that all the viewers would like to say thank you again for joining us for this weekly video. You offer some great insight, education, and you're a funny guy as well. So we really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, just one more thing I just wanted to touch on about these specie laws in these states. You know, there was another comment, from Jeff that, he's absolutely right, because you and I talked about this. There is no technical law where 90% silver comes into play. The only thing I can see that is that's going to be traded between the people, not with, like private, yard sales or private deals. Maybe that will come into play that way. We don't know yet. There's not enough information out there yet. But Jeff did make up a good point. It's not in any of these specie laws, because it's not actually stamped 90% silver on these coins.
Yeah, but Chris, and I brought this up to you last night, I think it's important to remember as well, with the premiums that you can get from selling 90% silver right now, you wouldn't want to use it at the specie level, right? I mean, it's more valuable than that right now anyway, and they aren't making any more of it. So I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, if you want to convert some of your 90% at these current rates, you can convert it into bars or rounds and make a good profit, right? Relatively speaking, comparing when it comes to premiums.
If you want to convert it back to dollars, yeah.
Or convert it to bars. I mean,
convert it to bars, yes. You can do that too, yes.
I mean, if you're able to sell your 90% silver for let's say $35 per ounce, right? Not per face, but per ounce. And you can buy bars then for $30 per ounce, you're coming out ahead. You're getting more silver. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think people, and I don't think, the demand for 90% silver, the way it looks now, is going to suddenly drop off a cliff. So I think the future looks bright.
And just one more quick point, Ron. I see some comments, I'm going to sell out at $50. Well, what are you going to sell it for? You're going to sell it back into dollars? We might see a big spike. I just want to warn everybody, don't convert it all back to dollars when it hits your target price. Watch what's everything's going on. It's not advice. It's just my opinion. I got a feeling it's going to hit over $100 within the next year or so.
We like the way you think, Chris. Thank you for your time, Coin Shop Chris. You're the best. And again, on behalf of all the viewers, thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for everything you have done. Thank you.
All right, Chris, we'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.